Well, thanks. Appreciate everybody being here today. Getting ready for another year here. We just finished our 12th practice. Had an inter-squad scrimmage on Saturday night, which was good to see and get everybody doing things in a game situation. And we're preparing for our annual situational scrimmage with UW-Platteville on Thursday. We really have, I think in reality, we have an interesting mix right now. We have some very experienced, proven players back, which is obviously a good sign for our team. But then we also have some pretty significant questions that we have to answer here in pretty short order. So it's really an interesting mix out there, a lot of competition for opportunities and guys working hard. We do have 6 starters back on each side of the ball, so that's a pretty good nucleus for us, 23 seniors. We had 2 guys that had medical red shirts, opportunity to come back for a 5th year, and Hud Johnston and Dylan Rodemaker, so those guys always make a big difference as well. So just kind of go through our offense and defense position by position real quick. Obviously, when you talk about our offense, you start with our quarterback, Matt Sasha. And, Matt's a pretty special player. He's had a phenomenal career up to this point, had an unbelievable junior year a year ago, was the 2017 Iowa Conference MVP, threw for over 3,200 yards, 35 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, a Gagliardi finalist. Obviously when you have a guy like that coming back, it's a pretty special opportunity. We just have to be able to find the supporting cast to put around him to hopefully allow him to have a similar season this year. We feel good about the depth at our quarterback position as well. Noah Dodd is a junior from Janesville and has been in our system and has a good understanding of everything. And he and Jace Moore, a sophomore, are really in a pretty interesting battle for our backup spot right now, and we've been working hard to try to sort that out. Our offensive line returns 3 starters from last year's team, Hud Johnston, who I just mentioned, at our right tackle spot, and then our 2 guards from a year ago, Nick Vetter and Tyler Shager, both return. We have a senior, Dylan Clark, who's been kind of waiting for his opportunity, that's going to have that this year. John Patrick, who has played in some games in his first couple years, kind of more as a tight end in some run game situations, so he's been on the field. Will have a much expanded role as a tackle this year. And then Ethan Lape, who we moved over from defense during the spring, has been doing a lot mixing in with that first group as well. Our receiving situation kind of took a hit with the graduation of Riley Brockway and Griffin Brennick, Ben Strathman. We lost 138 catches, off our team from last year. The leading receiver returning is Dennison Harrington from Cedar Falls. Denny was the 2nd leading receiver on our team a year ago. He had 48 catches and just over 500 yards. Has the capacity, I think, potential to be a very explosive player for us. As we just continue to expand his role and try to, help him continue to become a complete receiver that can play, in every situation and do everything that he wants to do and that we need him to do. Other than that, we have a nice group of, I guess, mostly juniors that have been in our program kind of waiting for their opportunity, that now have that opportunity and need to step up and grab it. And that's Colin Schulte, Jax Bringleson, Will Haskin, Brandon Childs, and then a sophomore, Ben Nichols, are the main guys that are kind of vying for those other opportunities at the receiver spot. We have all the tight ends back that played for us a year ago. Lee Boniface, who was a converted quarterback, was our 4th leading receiver last year, caught 26 balls. Then Matt Mulford, who originally I think we thought would be a offensive lineman, but has played tight end and has improved a lot, has looked good here in the start of camp, and it gives us a physical presence out there, and he also catches very well for a big guy. Jacob Leisinger has made nice improvement here during the camp, and Clayton Weltha. Those guys all had a role on our team a year ago and are all back. Our running back situation is pretty green as well. Bennett Getch carried the ball 22 times a year ago in the first kind of half of the season before his season ended a little early with an injury. And then Mason Carter had 29 carries. Those are the top two backs right now. And Connor Bailey, converted wideout, has been doing a nice job at that position as well. So that's kind of a quick look at our offensive spots. We lost both our punter and kicker, so our specialists are wide open right now. We really are spending a lot of time trying to sort out those positions and don't have a lot of clarity on that at this point in time. On defense, fortunate to have Dylan Rodemaker back. He was first team all-conference last year in our front, and he's really the only returner that comes back in our D-line group. And so there's going to be another group of guys that, again, have been waiting for their opportunity and now have it and are vying for how that's going to sort out from a depth standpoint. Jason Fisher, Brady Husenfeld's a really hardworking guy, is one of our captains. Hunter Horman, John Engel, Mitch Yerger, Dylan Calkins. Those are the names in that D-line group, but exactly how that all plays out is, still remains to be seen. It's hard to replace guys like Rob Rotler and Tony Anstetter in our linebacker group. The other two guys that did most of the playing there last year are Marcus Johnson and Connor Frericks. Those guys both return and will be, relied on heavily to lead our defense. Anthony Davis is a senior who's been playing a lot for us in the kicking game in years past and will have an opportunity for a much expanded role this year. And then Jake Cloft, who made some big plays down the stretch for us in the playoffs last year, is a converted safety that's really done a nice job up there too. So our depth at linebacker is still getting sorted out, but we feel pretty good about our top group. Our defensive backs return three starters. JoJo McNair and Peyton Imhoff both return at corners. JoJo was first-team all-conference player, and Peyton was second-team a year ago. And then Cedric Dobbins at safety started every game for us last year. So those three guys provide a lot of experience returning for us in the secondary. And then Dane Steidler, Eli Barrett, and Cohen Brown are kind of the next three guys. Dane and Eli are kind of battling for that other safety spot right now, and then Cohen will be in a lot of our nickel package things and provide great depth for us at the corner spot. Home openers, night game, 7 o'clock against Greenville out of Illinois on September 1st. We play at Monmouth on September 8th, and then our Iowa Conference opener is at home against BV on the 15th. We really have a nice home schedule with playing both Central and Luther at home this year. So we're looking forward to an exciting year. Certainly we have high expectations, but we have a long way to go to be where we want to be. So I'll be happy to take any questions you might have.
Greg, looking at the stats that Matt Sasha had last year, if you find the right support staff, it's hard to find a weakness in his game, but where does he need to find the most improvement this year to be even a more complete quarterback?
Yeah. I don't know really if you can get a lot more complete than what Matt did a year ago. I mean, I've said this before, but when you start thinking about the traits that you look for in a quarterback, what you want your quarterback to be, I think Matt has all those things. I mean, he's smart. He's diligent in his preparation. Those two things lead to him being a great decision maker on the field. So those are kind of the intangible things. The physical things, he has a strong arm, an arm that's continued to get stronger. He's able to escape and get out of trouble with his feet. He's athletic enough to do that. And I think probably the biggest differentiator that Matt Sasha has is his accuracy. He's a tremendously accurate passer, and so he's gonna put the ball in positions where people have a chance to make a play, and we've just got to have enough guys make them.
I'll stay with the quarterback here, Coach. I'm trying to think of Sasha. He parallels Logan Schrader a lot with the the success of the junior year, and Logan, I think just about anybody would take his senior year except for him. He would want the junior year, but had maybe tried to do too much. How do you keep Matt from maybe trying to do more than he maybe needs to because of guys like you mentioned that did graduate?
Yeah. Well, Matt's, I think got great poise, and he understands our system, and he's, you can see him out there every day going through his progressions and putting the ball in the spots where it needs to be, not necessarily trying to force it. So, it's a natural tendency when you're in the position like he is to try to do more, to try to put more on your shoulders. And, he may try to do that a little bit, but I think he needs to – I think if you talk to him, I think he has trust and belief in the guys that are going to be out there around him, and he's going to try to put them in a position to be successful. He understands that he's just, a cog in the wheel, so to speak, and that, our success is based upon the whole, not just him. And so the way he keeps his poise and the way he's going to provide leadership for our group, I think is going to be really important. And our team and our offense, both sides of the ball really, but, will grow as the season goes along. And guys that haven't had the experience to be out there play after play after play start getting that experience, they're gonna make strides and improve. He may have to look a little bit to some of those more experienced guys early on, but at the same time, that's our job as coaches to try to get people ready and to put people in spots where they can make the plays.
And staying with the passing game, Denison Harrington, it seemed like halfway through last season you kind of stopped referring to him, or I stopped referring to him as just the speed guy. He was starting to do more that makes a complete wide receiver. What are those things he needs to do this year to really complete himself?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, we with Denny, we were, hey, well, let's try to get the ball in his hands. Let's try to get him a couple carries, running the jet sweep, and let's throw him a couple bubbles and some speed outs and some quick game things, and that's kind of how we broke him in. But as he continues to develop, it's using him throughout the passing game in a more complete way. So it's not just the quick game things. It's the down the field passing game and being able to to run good routes and to get himself some space, to get himself open. I think for Denny, the biggest thing is going to be being able to carry that load, because up to this point, it's been, he hasn't really been an every down player, and trying to get him to the point where he can play 65 or 70 plays in a game instead of 35 or 40 plays in a game, I think is the challenge.
With graduating such a big class, like you mentioned, who are the players that have kind of taken the next step in their leadership?
Well, our four captains, our captains, Hud Johnston and Matt Sasha are the captains of our on offense, and Brady Husenfeld and Marcus Johnson on defense. And I think every year your team changes and people's roles change. And some guys that maybe didn't have to be as big a leaders a year ago have to step up and be leaders now. Some guys that, maybe played an important role on our team a year ago, whether it be, on special teams or whatever, now are going to have to expand their role. And so there's going to be all kinds of guys like that. Obviously, our running backs are going to have to step up. And that's kind of a key word for us is, stepping up. Who's going to step up? We're trying to find the answers to those questions right now. I don't think leadership is the issue with our team. We've got a bunch of guys that have been around and been through it. They've done a good job in the offseason. They're a committed, hardworking group. We just need to have some guys get a little bit more experience and gain confidence as they do that.
The national pollsters and the coaches in the American River Conference have you, nationally ranked and then picked to win the conference. How do you kind of, not let your guys get distracted by that, or how do you focus on your everyday things?
Most of those things, really come down to what happened last year. I think a lot of things in the early season polls at whatever level and whatever sport, a lot of times are determined by the previous year. And, I think one thing it tells you is that, we're going to be a target for everybody that plays us, and so we have to be prepared for that. And I think it's important just to have the perspective that, that may be nice and all that, but, it's a lot more important how things finish at the end of the year than what the rankings are at the beginning of the year. And so that's the way we've, I think tried to handle that. I think our guys are out at practice every day. They can tell that, we have some work to do to be at the standard that we expect to be at and to accomplish the goals that this program has. And so they know that. I don't think rankings and polls are going to get in their way. They're going to work hard to accomplish those things.